Greetings and welcome. I think after a very, very clunky start, we are indeed broadcasting. As you come on in, please shoot an emoji or type a 30 in the chat. Let me know if you can see me and hear me. Totally awesome to be back here with you again live for my weekly live show on YouTube, SEM Mondays. Last week was a holiday here. Well, last Thursday was a holiday here, and we pretty much here at Source Energy Research took a respite. So I certainly missed you all last Monday. And those of you who are indeed in the U.S., I hope you had a fantastic and joyful and safe Thanksgiving. It certainly was a very, very, very different Thanksgiving for us. And yet, I like to think that I live my life like every day is Thanksgiving without the food and all of the family gathering. And this year, of course, was not the family gathering, so it was certainly different. And yet, as difficult a year as this has been, and in so many ways, it seemed like I had just so much more to be grateful for. And I'm still in that energy, and I hope that it will. I used to think that I lived my life like every day was Thanksgiving, and now I'm more fully committed to that. I mean, gratitude practice is part of my daily spiritual practice. It's part of how I start my everyday and how I end my everyday. But it seems to be this year certainly taken to a whole new level. So. Thank you, Fifth Wheel Red, for the see you and hear you, and thank you, Deb, for the emoji, and namaste. Welcome. So, just in case you don't know, if you are new to Source Energy Medicine, you're new to SEM Mondays. Gosh, pardon me. I created SEM Mondays as a way to be able to gather live from wherever you are around the world and have an opportunity to connect in community, to support each other, and to have the opportunity to be able to, for you to be able to ask me questions live and in real time. And I do my best every week to answer as many questions as I can. And since this health crisis began back in, I think it was April, we extended used to be just a short 11-minute Q&A, extended that format to include a group energy healing session as a way of being able to continue to support you during this COVID-19 pandemic. So I will continue to do that. I'm committed to this longer extended format. And so the first part of our time together today will be questions and answers. I'll do my best to bounce back and forth between questions that folks have who are here with me live and questions that have come in from the other various ways that questions come in. If you're ever not able, if you ever have questions and you're not able to be here with me live, you can always email questions directly. If you check the show notes below any of the SEM Mondays players, you'll see my email is in there. You can leave questions in the comment box below any of the SEM Mondays, and I do my best to answer as many questions that are left there as I can. So I don't think I have any announcements or anything, and I'd really love to see what you folks have. If anyone who's here with me live has a question or a topic or a theme or anything that you'd like to talk about, please go ahead and share that in the chat. And I'll talk a little bit more about the energy healing aspect or the energy healing component of SEM Mondays in just a little bit. But, I want you to know that it's, just in case you're watching this in replay, that the energy healing sessions that are included in every SEM Mondays, I believe we started at the beginning of April this year, 2020. And while, so if you're watching this in replay, the experience has the same potential as if you were here with me live. So if you're watching one from April, it has the minimum the same potential as if you were here with me live. But if you think about it, there are more people who have watched that experience, that session, and with each person that experiences that session, it actually enhances the morphic field. And you may not know about morphic fields. this might be a really good time to talk about morphic fields because I talk about them all the time. It's hard to not talk about morphic fields. But rather than take our time today, I'll create a nugget of source energy medicine wisdom video that's all about morphic fields and upload that to our YouTube channel. So that, because it's a pretty in-depth conversation, there's a lot to it, but the essence of it is that morphic fields are these unique fields of energy, and everything has a morphic field. Everyone has a morphic field. Every non-material source energy medicine, every energy healing session that we have experienced, that we've shared in, specifically on SEM Mondays, that morphic field is a living, organic, growing thing. There's proprietary technology within the way the non-material aspect of source energy medicine is structured and set up that no one can detract or take away or sabotage anyone's experience or the group experience. We could only enhance it. And with every person who experiences one of those sessions, it actually enhances the morphic field. So the morphic field continues to grow and expand. So in theory, the earliest ones are more potent today than they were when they were first broadcast, first experienced, if that makes any sense to you. And, Einstein had this theory that all time is happening simultaneously, which makes my brain just want to explode. And Einstein spent a lot of his life trying to prove that mathematically, and he couldn't. But he had this knowing, this inner knowing, that all time was somehow happening simultaneously, as if it were stacked on top of each other, not in a linear progression, but in a vertical progression, if you will. And it's not a progression because it's all now. It's all happening now. So if you think about it from that perspective, then, 20 years from now is happening at the same moment as now. So the morphic field, while it does live and grow and expand, its potency, if you follow the Einstein theory, then it's as potent today as it will ever be. And yet, when I experience sessions, especially sessions that are maybe that old, like from back in April, they feel different to me in some way. So, kind of like you can't step in the same river twice. It's that unique experience. And if you think about it vibrationally, I'm different today than I was back in April. Even though I've been at pretty much my ideal energy level. I mean, by pretty much, I mean very close to my ideal energy level, other than a handful of times where a variety of things have contributed to my energy level slipping, and I've talked about that quite a bit. There's quite a few videos on our YouTube channel where I talk about the importance, the vital importance of to explain the whole thing, right? You have to understand calibrated energy, and then the calibrated energy of the physical aspect of my being is going to a large degree, determine what I experience, right, health-wise. So when the physical aspect of my being is at my ideal energy level, everything's great, right? My body is self-balancing, self-healing, and self-correcting, and that's a big, big, big part of source energy medicine. And, when my energy level slips, when it falls, which is usually the result of a higher level of stress than what I'm used to, or some sort of a trauma, right? Physical trauma, mental trauma, emotional trauma, something like that, or a lot of little traumas compiling, right? Build momentum, and then it's really compounding the little traumas, and it becomes a significant trauma over time. So those are, some of the things that have the strongest negative effect on our overall energy level. But if you don't understand energy levels, and you don't understand the importance of, calibrating energy, to me, is how I understand dis-ease and wellness. And without that, I don't have a way of understanding. I certainly have an experiential, an anecdotal way of understanding it, but I don't have a logical, intelligent, scientific way of being able to understand it. So there were a bunch of questions that have come in recently that were all about herbs and herbal medicine, and using plant-based medicines or plants as medicine. And if I look back to when I was practicing nutrition in New York City and working one-on-one coaching clients, mostly in a food-based coaching program, I did use some herbal supplements, and I used some essential oils and a wide variety of different things. It wasn't just food, but food and lifestyle was the crux of the coaching practice. And there was a point where I was frustrated by what I could offer my clients, how I could support my clients, and I wanted to expand my reach to be able to be more effective as a practitioner. And herbs and herbal medicine was one of the things that I was highly interested in, and the other was energy medicine. And energy work in general, right? Energy healing, but specifically vibrational medicines was on my radar, and at that point, a very serious avenue of study. So I kept meditating on, which path should I take, because it was pretty clear that one or the other. And one of the things that I became clear about is that one of the reasons why plants have such strong medicinal qualities is the vibration of the plant, right? So when it is indeed a helping or a healing herb or any organic matter, it's essentially the vibration of that plant. That's where the blessing is, right? That's where the miracles come from. And sometimes it's in combinations, right? It's in the right combinations of different plants, right? And Hannah Kroger, who is a pioneer in plant medicine, right here in Boulder, one of her gifts was, now of course most of her work was divinely inspired, right? She used a pendulum, and she meditated and asked. She had conversations with God all day long, from what I understand. I never had the honor of meeting her in person, but I worked very closely with a number of people who worked closely with Hannah. So, if you really think about that, my logic was, well, vibrational medicines are essentially starting off where you end up with plant medicine. And I think the same is true about homeopathy in a lot of ways, right? You're distilling matter until the point where there is no more matter, because it's been diluted so many times that there's nothing left but the vibration of that starting point. And from my perspective, I thought that vibrational medicines were a way of being able to help people with much, much, much greater consistency, really being able to fine-tune things in a way that with plants is really challenging. And then even just like batch to batch, season to season, year to year, plants change, right? Because of a wide variety of factors and where the plants come from, what the source is. It's really hard to have that consistency. And that's part of my issue with CBD oil, right? Cannabidiol oil, and even medical marijuana for that matter. But CBD has been an area of fascination for me for quite a while now. And I want to do a whole series on energy medicine versus, pros and cons of specifically source energy medicine versus CBD oil, because there's no question about it, mostly anecdotally. And by that I mean case studies or reports or people having experiential results, right? There's scientific data, scientific research, scientific studies, and there's anecdotal evidence. And those are the two schools that most researchers will look at. And because CBD, cannabidiol, hemp was a Scheduled 1 narcotic until not long ago, you couldn't do clinical studies on it without actually becoming a federal agent, which is insane to think about. So, it would be like you wanted to do a study on heroin, and hemp is, there can't be. I'm just in case you don't know, the difference between hemp and medical marijuana, or hemp and marijuana for that matter, is THC, and in hemp there can't be more than 0.003%, which is essentially not detectable or non-detectable of THC. So no psychoactive component, right? You're not going to get high no matter how much hemp you smoke or tincture of it you ingest or distilled oil you consume. There are potential side effects. A lot of research says there's no side effects to CBD oil, and I can tell you firsthand there are. I think part of the problem is good quality CBD oil is $150 for an ounce. So there aren't a lot of people drinking an ounce of it to see what'll happen. But all of that's a story for another day. But back to all of these questions about plant medicine and herbs, and from my perspective, source energy medicine stands alone, right? It doesn't need anything to fill in any gaps. It's not missing anything. And I say that with a high level of confidence because I've been sharing it since 2004. And yet, for a lot of people who have critical illness, serious challenge, and have been given, bleak prognosis, right? Perhaps not many days or weeks or months to live. Sometimes a combination of source energy medicine with plant medicine, is a really good idea. My only suggestion would be to separate them, right? Because remember my comment, plant medicine, everything is energy, right? Everything is a vibration, and the only question is, where is that vibration and how compatible is it with other things that I'm doing, that I'm taking, right? So it's not likely that there would be an interference between source energy medicine, and especially if the herbs are really, really good quality, organic or wild-crafted, sustainable. A lot of people who are plant medicine experts, it's part of their spiritual path, right? It is sacred work to them, right? They pray over the plants, they meditate on the plants, they harvest them very responsibly, they give thanks for the sharing of whether it's a root or a leaf or whatever part is being used. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, when done right, it's magnificently beautiful. Unfortunately, it's unregulated, and there's a lot of people who are just in it for, earning a profit, right? Financial gain, and that's it. And, so if you are going to explore plant medicine, especially a lot of people are in that scenario where it's, the critical health crisis, adaptogenic herbs are usually some of the more common ones to take. And one of the things about adaptogenic herbs is, and I think this is one place where source energy medicine really excels, comparatively speaking, is adaptogenic herbs. You have to be working with a really, really, really brilliant, experienced practitioner, no question about it. And you may be that, but if you're not, I think experimenting with adaptogenic herbs, there's a lot of potential downside because there's so much to it, right? There's the quantity and the frequency and how long can I take it before it has a negative effect or an adverse effect, and like the ideal medicinal amount for me is going to be different than for you. So there's so much trial and error, and a lot that can go wrong, right? There's no question about it. I've gotten not seriously ill from taking wrong combinations of herbs, but you can end up dead from taking the wrong combination of herbs. Plants can either be helpful in healing, or they can be, noxious or toxic rather, and poisonous. But I remember a couple of times, like laying in bed, moaning and groaning and just like so feeling really quite poorly, and for hours, because of either taking too much or not taking it properly, or taking wrong combinations of things or too close to other things. And adaptogenic herbs are trying to balance our physiology, right? They're trying to fill in missing pieces that our endocrine system, for example, is failing at. And with source energy medicine, there is no taking too much. You could certainly take too little, but there's no way of taking too much. And especially the balance and restoration source energy medicines, the balance fusion number 1, that is, in a sense, the best possible outcome of what you could experience from taking adaptogenic herbs in ideal scenarios, right? So, and I'm not bashing adaptogenic herbs at all, because I'm a huge fan, except you just have to, you either have to be an expert and very in tune with your body and very scientific about it. You really need to keep spreadsheets, took this much at this time, and you do all of the research and you read what is believed to be known about it, and then you do the best you can to figure out an ideal medicinal dose for you and how long is an ideal time to take it. But I love that within Source Energy Medicine, I just take Balance Fusion number 1 every day, because it's a fusion, 8 to 16 ounces, and then nothing that I really have to be concerned about, nothing I have to worry about. Tracking when I started, so I know how long I took it, but Balance Fusion number 1 specifically is a Source Energy Medicine that would benefit everyone, would benefit me still, even though I've been taking Source Energy Medicine since 2004, and yet balance is something that, or physiology, my physiology is constantly trying to maintain this homeostasis, right? This balance. We can never be 100% balanced, but to a high degree, right, in the 90s and in every possible way. And there's so many things that's essential to be balanced, right? When most folks think of balance, they might think pH might come to mind, and that's like one of a million things that are really critical to be balanced within our physiology. And if this is the least bit interesting to you, this is the kind of material and content and conversation that we have inside of our fundamentals online workshops. So. But I'm fascinated with the whole, even looking back to when I was trying to make that decision. Do I study energy medicine and energy healing, or do I study plant medicine? I'm really, really glad that I made the choice that I did. And of course, Source Energy Medicine was, 15 years later down the road when I was making this choice in my health coaching practice. But I'm really, really, really glad with the choice that I made, and yet I'm still passionate about plants. I'm still passionate about nature. I still love, finding plants, especially in the wild, and learning about them, and just feel what I can learn just by sitting quietly and meditating by this plant. What can it teach me, right? What can it share with me? Who are his neighbors, right? What kind of environment does it like, and when does it appear, and when does it go away, and which ones appear in greater quantity season to season? Things like that I just think are endlessly fascinating, and I'm friends with a lot of people who are experts in plant medicine, and it's a fascinating area of study. And I think it's, for those of you who are wellness practitioners, if I was not the creator of Source Energy Medicine, if I was back doing my health coaching practice, I'd likely offer both, because there's a lot of people who would not be open to energy medicine or energy healing, and yet they would be totally open to an herbal supplement, right, or an herbal tincture. So I think for a lot of people, I think of, one of the reasons why I started practicing nutrition was because food was the first thing that made logical sense for me to really take charge of my health and well-being. And then that expanded from there. And, from food being my medicine to herbal plants being my medicine was not a far stretch. And once I understood that the beauty within a plant is the vibration of that plant, then energy medicine was not only the next logical step, but a huge leap forward in terms of potential and possibility. So I hope that's helpful. And yeah, I'm just going to check the chat here and have a sip of water and see if there are any questions here, and then we could segue into the group energy healing session. Well, thank you, Amana, for your comment. So the Source Energy Medicine app is actually not available yet to folks who are outside of our workshops community, but I appreciate your feedback. That's awesome. And I'm not teasing that out. It's going to be a free app that you'll be able to download to your smartphones, tablets, laptops, computers, and it'll have everything that's within the Quick Start Guide, except it'll be on the desktop of your computer or the home screen of your mobile device. And one of the cool things about this particular app is you don't have to go to the Google Store or you don't have to go to the Apple Store to download it. You'll be able to download it directly from our website. So for that, we're likely going to share it with the rest of our community later this month. So it's something that we've been working on this is probably the fourth or fifth platform that we've explored. It's a brand new technology that enables you to have an app that behaves very differently than an app you would buy from in very good ways that you would have to go to Google Play or the Apple Store to either purchase. Even if it's a free thing, you're still purchasing the app, right? So, and the cool thing about the Source Energy Medicine app is all of the videos that are in the Quick Start Guide are there. So much more convenient to just click on our little graphic on your home screen than to navigate to our Quick Start Guide webpage. So it's pretty cool, and really excited that this platform seems to be panning out. So thank you, Amana, for your kind words, and it's something that, it's one of the things that I'm most excited about within Source Energy Medicine these days. Of course, the Source Energy Medicine certified coach training is off the charts for me and has been for the last couple of months. So, and the momentum and the excitement with that continues to build. So, the energy healing portion of our time together today, I strongly encourage you to, if you don't know about it, it's known as the non-material aspect of Source Energy Medicine. If you don't know about it, if you haven't had an experience with it before, within the Quick Start Guide, there's a video where I talk about it. If you're not in the Quick Start Guide yet, if you're interested in Source Energy Medicine, you have to get into the Quick Start Guide. It's free. There's a link in the show notes below this player, and it contains everything that you'll need on not only to get started with Source Energy Medicine, but the whole time that you're taking Source Energy Medicine. And it's different than our online courses, and yet even the folks who are in our fundamentals courses or even our certified Source Energy Medicine coach training, they still rely on the Quick Start Guide because that's where it's where the charging label file is. It's where electronic copy of my book Heal Thyself is. All of the how to take videos. There's 16 modules, I think, these days. And it's a master class in itself. I used to call it a mini course in Source Energy Medicine, and perhaps that was true when I first developed the Quick Start Guide, but it really has expanded into a much more in-depth offer, and it's awesome. So, if you don't know about the energy healing, check that out when we're done here. And the video is also on our YouTube channel. So if you want to check that out there rather than in the Quick Start Guide, just either on Google search or on YouTube search, just type in non-material aspect of Source Energy Medicine. And it's called the non-material, N-O-N material, is because there's no material substance, right? There's no charging labels, no bottles, and no water. And because there's no material, it's simply energy work, and yet it's the same technology that's in our charging labels, which is phenomenal, especially for those of you who have been making and taking Source Energy Medicine for any length of time, because of that vibrational resonance, because of that morphic field, right? It is that same morphic field that you experience when you drink Source Energy Medicine with their charging labels versus when you experience the energy work. Technically, they're two different morphic fields, and yet they're kind of like grandmother and granddaughter, if you will. So the energy work is absolutely the fastest, the most direct, the most efficient way for me to be able to share Source Energy Medicine with you. And specifically in what we'll experience today, really two main things. One, my intention is to do everything that I can to help to support you to stay healthy during this pandemic. So there are very specific things that I'll be facilitating on my end, but it's really important for you to know that even though I am in the role of the facilitator, you are always, and especially in the energy healing sessions, you're always healing yourself. And we're going at your pace, we're going at your speed, and we're going completely at your depth. So, and there's a lot of things that you can do to help to speed up the process, the progress, and that's a pretty big conversation. But on your end, trusting, allowing, having true faith, and knowing that there's no order of difficulty when it comes to challenges and transformation, right? It's all energy that we're simply transforming. We're not fighting, we're not combating, we're not trying to destroy pathogens or dis-ease or virus. We're simply transforming vibrational energy patterns from unhealthy or unhelpful to healthy and health supporting and helpful. So again, if you don't understand calibrated energy or vibrational energy, there's videos in our YouTube channel, and you can search them out and check them out at your convenience. So the other thing that is available during this session is I encourage you to pick one goal or one challenge, right? One thing that you would like to work on. And the reason why I always suggest that is so that it's much easier to notice what happens, right, in terms of measurable results. As cool as this is intellectually and philosophically, I am most interested in your transformation, what you experience, right? In ways that are measurable, in ways that are tangible, right? So there's a lot of things that we can't measure. There's a lot of things that are intangible. And yet I'm always looking for, pain was at on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the worst pain you ever had in your life. Pain was at a 10 and now it's at a 2, right? That's very measurable, even though it's not a scientific measurement. It's still very discernible, right? You experience pain different than I experience pain. So it's good to know what the pain is like for you when we start, and then it's really good because that establishes a starting point, right? A benchmark, and then it would be the after, right? How much of an impact did we have? How much were we able to transform, balance, and restore in that one session? To me, without that, it's just philosophy. It's just talking about interesting things, talking about cool things. So on your end, a minimum of distractions helps to increase the allowance, which is really one of the key components to what you experience during the session, right? How effective is this? How much allowance you have, and you have subconscious allowance, unconscious allowance, and conscious allowance. And conversely, you have subconscious resistance and unconscious resistance and conscious resistance. And to a big part, that's what source energy medicine is. And some of that work expands outside of the reach of source energy medicine because of your free will. So, and that's work that I often talk about, where we explore healing on the unconscious level and the conscious level. So, like in our 30-day belief challenge, which I think we're going to be opening registration for that in January. So it only comes around once a year or so. And it's a really phenomenal opportunity for us to heal on the unconscious and conscious side of the equation. But this isn't a pitch for that. I'm not even sure if we're going to be able to fit that in, but definitely, you definitely want to keep an eye out for that next time it comes around. So, when I do the work, I will prompt you into a state of allowance, right? A state of relaxation. And then I stop talking when I actually do the work. There'll be some chanting going on in the background. I turn my camera off, so what I'm doing is not distracting to you. And the chanting is not part of the energy healing. It's simply so that if folks are joining us late, they know that something is going on, that we're broadcasting, that there wasn't an interruption, that YouTube didn't crash. So I hope that makes sense. And then when we come back, I'll check the chat real quick for questions. And if anyone wants to share, I always love to know what the experience is like for you. So whether you're watching this live and experiencing this live or watching it in replay, please leave comments in the comment box below. And certainly, as I mentioned, any questions that you have, you can leave them there as well, and I do my best to answer them all. So I'm going to go ahead and get things set up here. So think about what it is that you would like to receive. Think about what it is that you would like to experience in terms of a goal or a challenge. And as much as possible, just allow your body to relax. Of course, if you're in a safe and appropriate place. A lot of folks, if they are in a safe and appropriate place, right, if they're in their home or their office and it's okay for them to lie down, that seems to increase the receptivity. If it is safe and appropriate for you to close your eyes and that's comfortable for you, that also seems to increase receptivity. And of course, if it's not safe for you, if you're not in an appropriate place for you to close your eyes, just please don't. Please use common sense through all of this. And as much as possible, just allow. Allow yourself to receive. Allow yourself to receive these gifts, these blessings. Give thanks for this opportunity to come together and bask in absolute unconditional healing energy and experience true unity consciousness, transcend the mental, physical, material realm and all of its limitations, and expand into the 0-point field of pure potentiality. Truly unlimited potential and possibility. The purest form of love that there is. Agape kind of love. And as you think of that goal or challenge that you would like to experience, I encourage you to gently let it go and begin to trust that what you are wanting to experience is rapidly manifesting for you in every way that it can, quickly under grace, in perfect, divine, and miraculous ways. And know that even though this session will be just a few minutes in terms of linear time, the positive results, the transformation, balance, and restoration will continue to be uploaded, downloaded, and installed into every aspect of your being for hours to come. And you can revisit this anytime. And typically the experience goes deeper and is experienced as being more profound, more positively helpful and impactful. And as much as possible, try and see yourself the way the source of all creation sees you constantly, which is seeing your wholeness, your eternal beauty, your eternal nature, your innocence. Know that you are completely forgiven, therefore free of the burden of all guilt and shame. And if there is anyone to whom making amends would be appropriate, where further damage would not occur, trust in that and have the strength and courage to follow through and to make amends, to extend forgiveness to others and to yourself. Feel into your sinlessness. Feel into a being of being free of guilt, free of that burden, free from shame. And know that in this moment, you have the opportunity to begin again, to start anew. Continue to breathe comfortably, continue to allow, and continue to receive. I invite you to take a nice deep breath. Continue to allow and continue to receive. And if your eyes are closed, please go ahead and slowly blink them open. Take another nice deep breath, wiggle your fingers and toes, and come on back to here and now, this time space reality, and SEM Mondays live on YouTube. And I will hold steadfast to the vision of your wholeness, of your completeness, of your perfection, of your innocence. And if that which you intended to receive during that session is not fully manifested, just trust that it is rapidly unfolding for you. It is rapidly on its way for you. It is rapidly manifesting in every way that is measurable, that is perceivable, that is tangible. And whether you're here with me live or watching this in replay, I'd love to know what that experience was like for you. Each one is so different, and a lot of folks in our community have been using these energy healing sessions, watching them once or twice a day to help to maintain their well-being during this health crisis. And I think it's wise. There's no possibility of any downside, and the potential upside is truly unlimited. So God willing, I will be back here live next Monday for another installment of SEM Mondays Live. And between now and next week, certainly stay connected in our communities, every place where we can connect. And take good care of yourself. Be kind and gentle and polite and gracious to others. Carry unconditional love and compassion in your heart everywhere that you go. And carry this healing energy with you everywhere you go. You can share it with others without actually doing anything, just by your being and by your intending to bless their lives, you will. So I am super grateful for the opportunity that we've had to gather together today, and eager to connect with you, God willing, next Monday. Between now and then, I wish you continued blessings on your journey